This week on the Autocar Show, we test drive the Lexus NX300h. We take the Porsche Panamera Turbo for a spin at night, and we bring you a rare sight, 120 of the three-pointed stars in one place.
The Lexus brand launched in India earlier this year with 3 models rather than just one, and now only 7 months later they've come up with their next model, the NX SUV. It's an entry-level model that will sit alongside the ES in the company's model range and will bring in a whole host of new buyers, or at least that's what Lexus hopes. And though the prices have not been revealed at the time of doing this review, we have been told to expect them starting from about 60 lakh rupees ex-showroom. Now that puts it in a very, very interesting position, just above the likes of the Mercedes GLC and Audi Q5, and just below the likes of the Mercedes GLE and the Jaguar F-Pace. So does this very niche luxury hybrid SUV have what it takes to fit in that small little niche in our market? That's what we're here to find out. And when I say niche, that extends to the way it looks. There's simply nothing out there that looks quite as striking or polarizing as the Japanese brand's unique design language. This F-Sport trim has a few sporty add-ons, but even the regular luxury trim gets most of the sharp angular details. There are some nice looking 18-inch alloy wheels, and yes, of course, that massive gaping Lexus grille. Things remain very niche on the inside with an interior design that's wonderfully wacky. It's an array of contrasting shapes and surfaces, each of them made with the same incredible attention to quality as the rest of the Lexus range. What I really like about the interior is that it doesn't feel like you're in a lesser Lexus. It feels right up there with the bigger, more expensive models like the RX. There's nothing entry-level about the equipment list either. This car is fully loaded. You get a fully leather-wrapped cabin with a choice of 11 colors. This is in addition to 12 exterior colors and 3 interior trim insert choices. The front seats are of course powered, but they're also heated. There's a huge single-piece glass roof, an astonishing sounding Mark Levinson audio system, 360-degree cameras and navigation, but no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. The semi-digital dials are crisp and clear, and the sharp 10.3-inch infotainment screen, unlike other Lexus cars, is now operated by a touchpad, which though better, is not quite as intuitive as what you get from rivals. The luxury trim gets a bit more equipment like cooled front seats and a powered rear seat fold and recline function, but it's the F-Sport that's likely to cost a bit more. And finally, there's the increasingly popular kick-to-open boot function, which leads to an unusually small boot. But that's because underneath the packaging is a full-size spare wheel. Now the back seat of the Lexus NX is very comfortable to be in. The seat is nice and soft and supportive. I've got a great view out front, I've got big windows to look out the side, and I've got plenty of knee room. The big disappointment is headroom. I'm 5'7" and I've just about barely got enough room, so people over 6 foot will be a little uncomfortable back here. A cool feature though is that you can recline the backrest a little bit if you prefer it this way. Now ride quality in the NX is actually rather good, especially at the back, which is set up slightly softer than the front. In fact, you do even get a bit of vertical movement as you go over undulations, but it's all within an acceptable level. Lexus says the NX is meant for owners who drive themselves and their families around, mostly in the city, so I think it's more prudent to see what it's like to drive. So like the RX and the ES, this NX SUV is a hybrid. In fact, it uses the same 2.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine mated to electric motors as the ES sedan. The difference is the NX is all-wheel drive thanks to an electric motor powering the rear wheels. Thanks to the electric propulsion, you do move off the line quite swiftly and briskly. But unfortunately, it's not the same kind of strong, consistent wave of torque that you'd get from a diesel engine. Because electric motors make their torque instantly, what you get is an immediate response off the line from the NX. And of course, at low speeds, provided you have enough charge in the battery, it works as an electric vehicle with zero emissions and zero fuel consumption. And zero noise. However, once you're past that initial phase of low-speed driving, you do get into this car's mid-range, and that's when the shortcomings of both the engine and the CVT gearbox start to show. The engine gets a bit noisy, and there's a lot of rubber band effect from the CVT, and that means it just holds on to revs endlessly, and that can be a little bit frustrating. The result is that out on the highway, it can feel a little bit strained when you push it a little harder for an overtaking maneuver. And there are two versions of the NX SUV, the Luxury and the F-Sport. The F-Sport is the one I'm driving now. They have a few cosmetic differences, and the Luxury version does have a bit more equipment. But the F-Sport does have one party trick: an engine noise enhancer, like so. What it does is basically play the car's engine note through the Mark Levinson audio system, and it depends on whether you're a fan of this or not, but it can be quite cool at times. So the NX is also a pretty tidy handler. It's got a quick steering that's got a nice amount of heft to it, and body control is pretty good as well. In fact, the only thing that keeps it from being a truly fun to drive car is the powertrain. The other thing that takes a little bit of getting used to are the brakes, because this being a hybrid, they are regenerative, and that means you get a bit of a wooden feeling at the brake pedal, like so. Can be quite aggressive with the way it stops. Now, like some of its siblings, the NX is a truly unique proposition simply because of its hybrid powertrain. There's nothing quite like it at this price point. But speaking of which, at first it might seem a little bit expensive for its size. But when you factor in the high-quality, well-built cabin and the loads of equipment they've packed this car with, you realize that it might just be worth it. It is a little bit short on practicality, particularly in the back seat and the boot, but then those are not this car's strengths. This car is all about giving you that feel-good factor, and I must say it does that in spades. So yes, it's a niche product and a slightly expensive one at that, but Lexus believes, and I think you should too, that this is something very, very unique indeed.
After the success with the four-door Cayenne back in 2009, when Porsche launched their practical sports car, the four-door Panamera, purists scoffed at them. Porsche sports cars were not meant to have four doors, four seats and an engine up front. Leave alone that it was an anomaly, the design received its fair share of criticism as well. Purists and car critics may have scoffed, but customers didn't, and they lapped up the Panamera. So when the new version of this popular Porsche came into our Autocar garage, I was dying to get my hands behind the wheel. With all my travels, it's taken me a while, but now I finally got the chance, so I thought I'd give it some special treatment. The Panamera has grown. It's now 34mm longer, 6mm wider and 5mm taller with a 30mm wheelbase extension. But with the increase in maximum height and more taper towards the rear, it has given it a sleeker and sportier profile. At the front, the hood features a prominent power bulge whose lines now extend deeper into the bumper. And typical of the others in the stable, it blends at the sides into strong flares on the fenders. The headlights have prominent 4-point daytime running lamps, and below them are bar lights that also double as turn signal indicators. At the side, the roofline is more coupe-like and stylistically similar to the 911. The front door has a deep recess that fades out into the pronounced rear wheel arch. Like on the previous car, the front fenders feature cooling air vents too. The mighty retractable spoiler is surely the talking point at the rear. And below that, the narrow LED rear taillights are joined together by an LED strip, giving it the impression of a continuous light. There's no doubt it is a striking car. Step inside and it does ooze of luxury. Top quality materials, leather stretched across the dash, perfect double stitching across everything. But it's not just that. When you're seated behind the driver's wheel, that entire feeling of being in a cockpit of a car lets you remind that the heritage of this is sportiness. It's all there. You know, it's a beautifully crafted dash. There's one seamless flow of black right across the center, from the glossy piano black that's in front of the passenger side of the seat, to the TFT infotainment display, to the traditional 5 dials which have a central analog tack, and the 2 screens alongside that show you the rest of the dials. The screens are customizable for various functions. The command center is suitably impressive for a 2 crore car. Gone is the vast array of buttons that the earlier Panamera had, and instead you're presented with touch-sensitive surfaces. The center screen is a large 12.3-inch display that is easily one of the best systems around. Now the seats are ventilated, which is a great thing. Even when you're driving, you can remain cool and calm and collected, or they're heated, so if you're cold, you can warm yourself up easily. But the strange part about it is that even the driver's seat has a massage function. But I don't know how far I'd use it when I'm driving. Might get me a little too relaxed. I think in India, the only people using this function really will be the drivers while they're waiting for their owners to come out. You don't walk into a Porsche showroom expecting a first-class rear seat experience. You prioritize a pure driving experience similar to the legendary 911. So normally, a Porsche is all about being behind the wheel. But the Panamera, with its 4-door practicality and business class-like rear cabin, demands your attention. Well, Mumbai's roads being Mumbai's roads, they're still full of traffic even this late in the evening. So I'm going to enjoy being chauffeured around till I get to some open roads. Now, while you're pottering around at low speeds in your in-city and traffic conditions, the ride seems pliant and smooth enough. Of course, every now and then you thud through a bigger pothole and it reminds you of its sporting heritage with a little bit of firmness. But as you pick up the pace, it's a settled and smooth ride. The Turbo gets 20-inch wheels as standard fitment, and Porsche does offer you the option of 21-inch wheels. However, for our rutted road conditions, which get worse with every monsoon, the standard 20-inch wheels would be a better gamble. The ride height cleverly alters from low, medium to high, a handy tool in our conditions, and you can call upon the high setting at any time. We managed to clear some medium-sized speed bumps without resorting to the sideways crab crawl. This back seat is just amply spacious. I have loads and loads of legroom. Tallest of people will be absolutely comfortable over here. Headroom is good enough as well. It's a spacious, comfortable seat, and of course there's every gizmo on hand to keep you in the lap of luxury. I have massage functions on the seat, there's ventilation, I can recline my backrest back, and I even have a setting here on the control panel that will allow me to adjust the cushioning of my seat to medium or firm or soft, just how I like it. And of course, there's every other control right here at my fingertips to allow me to do whatever I want. Plush and luxurious enough, the back seat of a Panamera is a place that its customers will be happy in, and happier than before, I can say. Well, as comfortable as this back seat is and as many gizmos as I have here, with the rain having stopped and that 4-litre twin-turbo V8 calling my name, I have to stop and get behind this wheel. As I quickly switched over to Sports Plus, the exhaust made itself known. It isn't loud or really guttural, but it's enough to let you know you've shifted modes and there's a sports car heritage to be had. Stomp your foot down on this accelerator and you can completely forget that this is a 2-ton car. You know, power just comes in so strongly. Those 550 horses galloping under the hood together will not let you forget that this is in sports car territory. Well, to put a stamp to that firmly, our test figures threw up a 3.58 seconds 0 to 100. That's seriously quick for a car of this size and weight. 20 to 80 in third came at an equally stunning 2.51 seconds. And that's really what's so pleasurable. I mean, just the punch overtakes just come so smoothly. The gearbox swaps cogs so efficiently that I've never really had to use the paddles. And the icing on the cake is that the Panamera delivers this performance in a more responsible manner. It features cylinder deactivation, meaning it will switch over to sipping fuel and working on 4 cylinders on lighter load conditions. Now, if that shove back into your seat isn't enough adrenaline for you, all you have to do is press the sport response button and you get an additional 20-second burst of power. Whoa, this is just absolutely insane. It's manic and I'm having a blast. I just can't wipe this grin off my face. Now, what lets you enjoy this power so much is the fact that this is not only a sports car because of the way it delivers power, but it's also a sports car because of the way it lets you feel connected to the road. The optional Sport Chrono package also gets you launch control and direct access to the 4 driving modes: Normal, Sport, Sport Plus and Individual via a handy steering-mounted rotary switch. Sport Plus, as you saw earlier, calls upon the optimal powertrain responses. And it also adjusts all the complex electronic chassis control systems like the ride height adjustable air suspension, the electronic damper control, the electromechanical roll stabilization and a rear axle steering switch to a maximum performance setting. The Porsche Panamera felt stable, planted and secure at all times. And though I didn't really have any winding sections of road, I was quite blown away by the handling for a car of its size. Well, this car has definitely left an impression on me. Can't remember having so much fun in the recent past. What's impressive about it is its power-packed performance, the agility for a car of this size, and of course, there's that practical side too. I mean, it's a 4-door, 4 seats, has a reasonable boot. So here's a sports car that the wife and family won't object to, and you'll get enough thrill factor from behind the wheel as well. Every year we set out to comb the country and bring as many stars as we can together. And when we say stars, we mean 3-pointed stars. This year, a record-breaking 120 of them came together to give Mumbaikars a true Sunday morning treat.
We didn't know that we had that many dedicated customers that are so well maintaining their cars in the past. And it's basically nice to see how many also interest people we can basically garner and how much the shared love for old and vintage cars actually is expressed here in India. Well, just recently, I mean, last year we announced that formally and for the first time, we have even dedicated personnel in our company to support owners with their requests for spare parts and also advice. And there is a lot of things that people want to know and understand about their cars, so they're also asking for owner's manuals, they're asking for brochures from that time to complete their ownership experience as well. So yes, we've been helping them, we've been supporting them as well, and we have a direct line also to our classic center in Germany as far as maintaining, but also as far as restoring cars are concerned.
Every Mercedes platform from the 1950s to the 1990s was there. Sports cars, coupes, luxury sedans, limousines and estates. It's probably also the first time that this country ever witnessed the 300 SL, the Nürburg, Adenauers and every generation of the SL in one place at one time. And that blood red 300 SL, the only one of its kind in India, was definitely the star. The owner Himanshu Gondal fondly recounted its history.
My grandfather bought it for my father when he was 18 years old. And he went abroad and he was thinking of buying one car. And, he saw the Bentleys and the Ferraris and all these cars. And then he loved this car, where he saw it in the London Motor Show. And he said, I want this one. Then you may know the history that he started racing in this car. It won then. And right up to 1966, he raced this car in India at Pune, in Bangalore and Chennai. And the great thing is, the car has never seen second place.
Another bright shining star of the show was Vivek Goenka's majestic 1929 Nürburg Tourer. Known to restore his cars meticulously, Mr. Goenka found this in a mine and slowly brought it back to its original glory. And gloriously, it stood. From the prestigious stables of Johan Poonawalla came two exciting models, a 190 SL convertible and a 220S Fintail saloon, both of which proved to be crowd pullers. Many participants had warm tales of nostalgia, and Kabir Bogilal recounted the story of his sports convertible which once belonged to the actor Shashi Kapoor and has been with his family for the last 35 years.
It began 36 years ago when I was around 1 year old, and my dad and I used to drive around together in this car. So we've had it in the family for 36, 37 years old, and we have been able to take care of it for so long, and it's a father-son thing, and I'm trying to carry on the tradition with these two, and they absolutely love being a part of it.
Interestingly, the fourth edition of the rally saw a record number of SLs come together, and each generation was represented with many fine examples. There were cars that came from far and wide across the country, a Fintail from Nagpur, a 300D from Rajkot, Goa and Kolhapur each, and they all drove down for the event. Perseus Bandrawala, who helps Autocar curate this event every year, spoke to us on how he brings it all together.
The Mercedes classic car is the only official one make series classic car, and the number we have is, it's a respectable number of entries, like, over 120 cars is something that you'd see in most car crazy nations. So to have it in one city, it's quite an incredible number. And the main thing is that once you've been to this event, you see almost every platform of Mercedes-Benz, especially from the 50s to the 90s. And so you literally see the evolution of automobiles and not just the evolution of Mercedes-Benz. Oh, it's sometimes a bit challenging to convince an owner to bring his car for the event, but we have guys like Himanshu, we have Mr. Goenka, we have others who are very supportive and they want to be a part of the event. Himanshu sent his car down from Gondal. He's come himself all the way from Gondal. We have other participants who have come from all the other parts of the country, from Rajkot, from Goa. So it's amazing that, so many people come down just for this event and bring their cars down with them.
Oh, lovely. I look forward to it again next year now.